Good morning, friends. Today we will discuss another type of average which is of positional type, that is called as mode. So, mode means a fashion, most popular type. All of us know in election, in any type of election, we choose or we elect a person who has maximum number of votes. So, mode is most popular type, and that particular type represents our data set. That's why mode is called as positional average, because it is the position of that particular point in your data set. So, in measures of central tendency, when we are describing the center of the data set, mode is one of the measure which shows general tendency of the data, and generally in case of categorical data, mode is very important. So, when you want to write the numbers in percentage or observations in percentage, the value which is repeated maximum number of times has highest number of percentage is called as mode. If we have suppose n observations x1, x2, xn, and in these x1, x2, xn, if certain observation repeats for maximum number of times, that value is called as mode. Note that mode may not always exist in the data set. Sometimes if any of the observation has no repetition in the data set, then we will say that mode does not exist. In some cases, if certain observation, if the maximum repeated observations are supposed to in that particular data sets, then we say that the distribution is bimodal. Bimodal means having two modes. So we may have the situation when there does not exist mode, or there is a unimodal distribution, or there may be bimodal distribution. In case of discrete frequency distribution, if we have observations of the type xi, fi for say k classes I is equal to 1 to k, then if some frequency is maximum in the data set, then the value corresponding to the maximum frequency is called as mode of the distribution. In case of continuous frequency distribution, that is when we have a data set in terms of class intervals and class frequencies, in that case, mode is obtained by the method of interpolation, and this method of interpolation is applied on the histogram. So when you draw a histogram, a class with maximum frequency is called as modal class, and suppose frequency of that modal class is say Fm. Let us denote it by Fm. In this case, you can see that the class 30 to 40 has maximum frequency which is equal to 25, and therefore this class is called as modal class. A class just above the modal class is called as pre-modal class, and class below the modal class is called as post-modal class. So pre-modal class and post-modal class are adjacent to your modal class. So in this way you can define the formula for computation of mode in case of continuous frequency distribution as mode is equal to L plus H into the bracket Fm minus F1 divided by 2 times Fm minus F1 minus F2. By the method of interpolation, we have come to this particular formula. See, what is L? L is the lower limit of the modal class. H is the class width or the length of the class interval of modal class. Fm is the frequency of modal class, which is maximum one. F1 is the frequency of pre-modal class. F2 is the frequency of post-modal class. So in this way, one can always compute mode for continuous type of frequency distribution. See, this is your discrete data set. Suppose here size of shoes is given. So size of shoes is say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And here frequency, that is number of shoes sold of size 1 R1, of size 2 R1, of size 3 R1, something like this. So in this case, if I want to compute mode of the distribution, so in this case, the frequency 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, the maximum frequency is here, and it corresponds to observation 6. So 6 is the most repeated or maximum repeated observation. Therefore, in this case, 6 is called as mode of this distribution. According to Fisher, according to Boyle, la mode, the French word la mode means fashion, and Boyle defined the value of mode is the graded quantity in a statistical group at which the number registers are most numerous is called as mode, and it is due to position of greatest density or greatest frequency in the data set, which is a predominant value, and therefore this is the definition of mode given by Boyle. And here mode is equal to 6. Suppose if I want to compute median in this case, so in order to compute median we must have less than type cumulative frequencies. So the first frequency as it is 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, 11 plus 1 is 12 and 12 plus 1 is 13. So there are 13 observations. So n is equal to 13. You compute n by 2. So what is the value of n by 2? N by 2 is 13 by 2, that is 6.5. Now you look at where this 6.5 lies in the less than type cumulative frequency. So 6.5 doesn't lie between 1 and 2, not lies between 2 and 3, not lies between 3 and 4, not lies between 4 and 5, 4 and 6, but it lies between 6 and 9. Okay, so this class it is just above this 6, 6.5 is just greater than 6. Therefore, this class is your median class, and the value corresponding to median is also 6. So for this given data set, mode is 6 and median is also 6. Actually, the 7th observation is median. Now, this is formula for computation of mode in case of continuous frequency distribution. Suppose this is the example. Compute mode for the given frequency distribution. Now here my data classes are 0 to 7, 7 to 14 like that, and corresponding class frequencies are given to you. Now here you can see the maximum frequency is in the class 21 to 28. And what is the class FM? Maximum frequency is 72. So 72 is my largest maximum class frequency. So my modal class is 21 to 28. So this class is called as pre-modal class. This class is called as post-modal class. Length of the class interval is 7. Here further you can see this is my F1 frequency of the pre-modal class. F2 is the frequency of post-modal class, and lower limit of the modal class is 21. So my formula is L plus H into the bracket Fm minus F1 divided by 2 times Fm minus F1 minus F2. Just put all the values here in this formula. So try to keep this thing aside unless and until you do whole calculations of this particular bracket. Don't add up to L. So L is 21 plus H is my 7. Fm is 72 minus 36 upon 2 times 72 minus 36 minus 51. That will give me 25.103, which lies in the class 21 to 28. So this is my mode value. Similarly here, if you look at here the number of observations are given to 2, and by looking at the data only, you can say that my observation 6 is repeated maximum number of times. So in this case, my mode is 6. Again the same data I have given, and here you can find the mode of the distribution. Here also you can see the classes are not continuous. Here daily expenses are given. There are 2 open-end classes, the first one and last one, and here you can see the classes are not continuous. So first thing is that you have to make these classes continuous. So you can make these classes continuous by subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit and adding 0.5 to the upper class limit. So here it will be 100.5 to 199.5. Then in this case you just subtract 0.5 from lower limit and add 0.5 to upper limit. When you subtract 0.5 from this limit, it is 100.5, and this is 200.5. This is 200.5, 300.5. Like this, you can make these classes continuous, and then you can compute mode of the frequency distribution. So these are my classes which I have actually converted into class boundaries, and here number of persons are given to you. So here maximum class frequency is 207. So let us call this particular class as a model class. The class just above the model class is called as pre-model class. Below the model class is called as post-model class. So lower limit of the model class is 200.5 U. Frequency of the class is 207. This is my FM, this is my F1, this is my F2, and length of the class interval is 100 H. So writing this formula, I have mode is equal to this. So you just solve this particular bracket first and then add up to your load limit. So this is my value which we obtain by method of interpolation using this formula. So mode is equal to 222.478. So in this way you can compute mode of the distribution. Now this is example which is this particular type of example can be asked in the examination. Here we need to compute missing frequencies. So here total expenses of expenditure of 100 families is given in terms of class intervals which are not of continuous type. So my first job is to make these classes continuous. So we make these classes continuous by subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit and adding 0.5 to the upper limit, so that the first class will be 19.5 to 29.5, 29.5 to 39.5, 39.5 to 49.5, and like that. So let us denote the missing values. We say here let us write X for this missing class frequency and Y for this missing class frequency. Further it is given that there are 100 families, so sum of all these frequencies should be equal to 100. Therefore, if you add these frequencies will be equal to 66 plus X plus Y. So my first equation is 66 plus X plus Y is equal to 100, gives me X plus Y is equal to 44. So this is my first equation. Now I need to use another information that mode of the distribution is 43.5. So 43.5 lies between 39.5 to 49.5. Therefore this must be my model class. So this must be my pre-model class, this must be my post-model class. So writing formula for mode is equal to L plus Fm minus F1 divided by 2 times Fm minus F1 minus F2 into H, where H is length of the class interval. So L is, your mode is equal to 43.5. My L is 39.5. Fm is 27 minus X upon 2 times 27, that is 54 minus X minus Y. Missing frequencies into 10. Now let us take 39.5 on the left hand side. So that will be my 4. 27 minus X upon 54 minus X minus Y into 10 is like this. So you just have cross multiplication. 4 into 54 minus X minus Y is equal to 10, 27 minus X into 10, that is 270 minus 10X. So that will give me equation X is equal to 27 minus 8 gives X is equal to 19. So using this particular equation X is equal to 19, I will get the value of Y also. So my Y value is 15. So in this way you can compute missing frequency when two values are given to you. Sum of all frequency 100 and mode of the distribution is something 43.5. So using those two things you can find out two missing frequencies X and Y. This is one example, and if you want to compute mode graphically, you just draw the histogram. Actually this should be like this. Okay. So try to write this line in this way and second line is in this way. The cross section point, from the cross section point you draw perpendicular on x-axis. This value will be your value of mode. So mode can be determined graphically using histogram. So let us discuss merits and demerits of mode. So mode is the value which is the most frequent value this definition is actually very simple to understand, and also in case of data of discrete type, frequency distribution or individual observations, by just looking at the data you can definitely write down mode by inspection. Further, mode is actually not affected by extreme observations because we are considering the middle part of histogram. So mode is not actually dependent of extreme observation. But if your pre-modal class or post-modal class are at the ends, then it may have that mode may be dependent of extreme observations. Sometimes mode is indeterminate because if your modal class is at the end, if your first class is modal class or last class is modal class, we cannot determine pre or post modal class in that case, and therefore sometimes mode is indeterminate. So mode is also used to compute data of qualitative type. So this is one of the most important property of mode, that mode can be determined in case of qualitative data also. Mode can be determined in case of open-end classes also, and mode can be determined graphically using histogram. What are the demerits? Demerits of mode are mode doesn't take into consideration all set of data. So it just considers some part of data. So mode is not based on all observations. It is rigidly defined for frequency distribution data with the help of histogram. Further, mode is indeterminate when maximum frequency occurs at the very beginning or at the end of the distribution, and mode is not capable of further algebraic manipulations. So we cannot combine mode for the combined groups if mode of single groups are given to you. So in case of symmetric data, we will come to the definition of symmetric data afterwards. But when the data is symmetric, in that case, mean, mode and median coincide with each other. So when the data is symmetric, we have mean is equal to mode is equal to median. But when the data is not symmetric, we call it as asymmetric data. Then there exists an empirical relation which is given by Karl Pearson. So generally, mean minus mode is equal to 3 times mean minus median. So this particular relation holds good for many types of data sets, and therefore this is called as empirical relation, which is given by Karl Pearson. So if for any type of data, if mean and mode is given to you, and if you need to compute median, you can use this type of relationship. For example, if mean is equal to 100, median is equal to 106, what will be the possible value of mode? So in this case, mean minus mode is equal to 3 times mean minus median. You just put the values of the given things and mode value will be 118. So this is the empirical relationship which one can use in case of frequency distribution or and different types of data sets. So this is the repetition. This formula, mean minus mode is equal to 3 times mean minus median, can be written as mode is equal to 3 times median minus 2 times mean. So these two relations are same. You can either use this relation or this relation. And in general, mean is always less than or equal to median is less than or equal to mode when the data is of this type. So when the data is positively skewed, this we will come to after. This particular topic is at the end of this particular semester. So we will come to this particular chapter afterwards. But for asymmetric data, we either have mean is less than median is less than mode, or we may have mode is less than median is less than mean. So what will happen if mean, mode, median are not same? We can have these two types of situations that we will discuss afterwards. So this is the example for how to find combined mean. Everything is given to you, group 1, group 2, x1 bar, x2 bar are given to you, number of observations n1 and n2 are given to you. You can find out the combined mean for the data set like this. So this is combined mean for k data sets, and on the basis of these properties, we can say whether certain averages are good or bad for given data sets. So these are the properties of good measures of central tendency. Now, after discussing measures of central tendency, we will come to the last part of this particular chapter, that is partition values. So partition values are the values which divides the distribution in equal parts when the observations are arranged in increasing or decreasing order. One partition value we have discussed earlier, which we call it as median. So what is median? Median is the value which divides the distribution in equal two parts. Similarly, if the values which divide the distribution say in four parts, 4 means quarter. So when the values divide the distribution in 4 equal parts, those are called as quartiles. If the values divide the distribution in 10 equal parts, those are called as deciles. And if the values divide the distribution in 100 equal parts, those are called as percentiles. So we will discuss quartiles, deciles and percentiles in order to compute some partition values. So the quartiles are most important partition values which divide the whole distribution into 4 equal parts. So Q1 is called as lower quartile such that 25% of the observations are below quartile. Q2 is also our median, which is the second quartile, which divides the distribution into two parts such that 50% of the observations are below Q2 and 50% of the observations are above Q2. Q3 is called as upper quartile, which is the Q3 is the value which divides the distribution such that 75% of the observations are below Q3 and 25% of the observations are above Q3. So these partition values are very important in order to study the characteristics of any type of frequency distribution. So generally ith quartile is denoted by Qi, which makes the whole data set into 4 equal parts. Deciles are denoted by Di and percentiles are denoted by Pi. So the general formula for these quartiles are, this is graphical method to show how the quartiles can be computed. So this is your less than type cumulative frequency curve, and here this is exactly equal to n by 4, that is 25% of the observations, and the value corresponding to it on x-axis, this particular point is corresponding to Q1 and n by 4. So x coordinate is Q1 and y coordinate is n by 4. So the value of Q1 is such that exactly 25% of the observations are below Q1 and 75% of the observations are above Q1. Similarly, Q2 is your median, which is exactly equal to 50% of the observations and value corresponding to 75%. So this is value is 3n by 4. See, 3n by 4 is 75% of n. So value corresponding to this, x value corresponding to this particular point. So this particular point is Q3, 3n by 4. So Q3 is the value such that below Q3 we will find 75% of the observations and above Q3 we will find 25% of the observation. Actually this is box plot, we will discuss it in the next chapter, that is dispersion. So these are the formula for computation of partition values. So what is my Qi? Qi is L plus h upon fk into bracket n into I by 4. Remember that you first divide the whole frequency distribution into 4 parts and then take ith part of it. So this I may be either 1 or 2 or 3. So Qi is equal to L plus h upon fk into bracket n I by 4 minus fk minus 1. The procedure for computation of Qi is or Di and Pi is same as that of your computation of median. So you first locate that particular class and use lower limit of that class as L. Consider h as the class frequency of the k class. Consider frequency of that class is fk, and this condition should be satisfied in order to determine your kth class. The formula for Q1 is, I can write it like this, n by 4 because I is equal to 1, and formula for Q3 I can write 3n by 4, and these are the formula for computation of Q1 and Q3. Similarly, these are the formula for deciles and percentiles. This formula we will going to use in order to compute for frequency distribution. Now, this is the example here, and I am trying to solve it like this. So, in order to find out the partition values, we need to find out first and most important thing is that less than type cumulative frequency. So, these are my less than type of cumulative frequencies. So, in order to compute Q1, I will compute n by 4. So, my n by 4 is 12.25. See where this 12.25 lies in less than type cumulative frequencies. So, 12.5 lies between 10 and 16. So, this particular class is my Q1 class. Okay. So, lower limit is 15, length of the class interval is 5, frequency is 6, and Fk minus 1 is now 10, which is less than 12.5. So, putting these values in this equation, I have Q1 is equal to L plus H upon Fk into the bracket n by 4 minus Fk minus 1. So, lower limit here is 15, H is 5, Fk is 6, n by 4 is 12.25, and frequency just above the kth class, that is 10. Just above this class is 10. So, here I should write it as 10, sorry. This number should be 10. This number should be 10. Okay. And this is my value of Q1. Similarly, in order to find Q3, I will compute 3n by 4. 3 by 4 times 49. And this 36.75 lies between these two. 36.5 lies between 31 and 41. Therefore, this class is my Q1 class. Okay. This class is my Q1 class, and you can compute frequencies like this. Actually, I have computed this for you, and this is again, I think I have taken it wrongly. 36. It should be 31. Note that this should be 31. This should be 10. I have taken it as 11 and 36, which is wrong. Okay. So, take this is equal to 31, take this is equal to 10, and compute it yourself. Now, in order to compute fourth decimal D4, so in order to compute fourth decile D4, I need to compute 410 by n, 4 by 10 into n, which is 19.6. So, 19.6 lies between these two, 16 and 31. Okay, 16 and 31. Okay. In this way, we can compute deciles and percentiles. I will just correct this problem again, and I will send it this PPT on your Google Class. This is the question for your reference. Find median, mode, and arithmetic mean for this data set. Find median, lower quartile, upper quartile deciles for this set. So, try to solve this problem as exercise, and I will give solution to these questions in the Google Class. Okay. So, let us stop here. In the next lecture, we will discuss the measures of dispersion, that is spread of observations. In this lecture, we have discussed how to find center of the data set, that is how to find mean, arithmetic mean, median, mode, or geometric mean, or harmonic mean, or weighted mean, or trim mean for given data set. That means we are trying to find out here center of the data sets. Now we will see how the data is spread with respect to your center. So spread from the center is called as measure of dispersion, and that we will going to study in the next lecture. Thank you all of you.